Just about every Week 3 NFL game did not go the way we thought it would go. The Jets game, the Steelers game, and the Ravens game. But a lot of the top fantasy guys that we drafted so high and that have been proven throughout the years did reward us, like Larry Fitzgerald, Le'Veon Bell, Odell Beckham, and AJ Green. No matter what your fantasy record is, you're 0-3, you're 3-0, stay hungry, stay positive, and let's get a W for Week 4. What's going on, fantasy football fans? I'm your host, Hussein the Brain, and you're watching The Couch. These are my Week 4 waiver wire pickups. That's right, folks. We're big time now, about to hit 15K subscribers, and we have a new sponsor for this video. Hype Sports. It's a free app available for both Apple and Android users. It takes aspects of DFS and season-long fantasy, but focuses more on the fun aspect and not just about drafting the best team possible. I'd compare it more to a game than anything else. It focuses on leveling up your players, building the best long-term squad. You can compete against your friends, compete against me, rank on the leaderboard. So please guys, follow the link below to download Hype Sports. It's free, helps support this channel, and allows me to keep making videos like this one. Now for the moment we've all been waiting for. My ranked waiver wire pickups for Week 4. Most owners are not desperate for a quarterback. Not yet. The bye weeks have not hit. There's no bye weeks Week 4, but bye weeks start hitting Week 5, and some good quarterbacks are on those Week 5 bye weeks. Kirk Cousins, he plays in the Chiefs, just some quick notes, and Derek Carr plays at Denver. So those guys you may want to bench this week, especially Derek Carr. I mean, he couldn't play against Washington. I don't know why you'd want to start him against Denver. I wouldn't start Derek Carr, and I talked about this a long time ago. I would never plan on starting Derek Carr Week 4 as he faces the Broncos. That's going to be a tough defense, and we saw last time when the Raiders beat the Broncos, they ran the ball with Latavius Murray, who's now replaced with Marshawn Lynch. Anyway, these are the top quarterbacks to pick up. Carson Palmer going against the Niners. Tyrod Taylor, doesn't really matter the matchup. We've seen this guy play good every week. He's just like he's been last year. QB1, not an elite QB1, but a guy you can rely on, a guy that's going to get you rushing yards and play well week in and week out. Should be owned in a lot more leagues. Trevor Siemian, I still believe he is the real deal, but you know who else is the real deal? The Buffalo Bills defense. They're playing decent in terms of fantasy, but playing really well in terms of real life NFL. And what does that mean? They're getting wins. The team is playing well, even though they got rid of Sammy Watkins, even though I was buying the hype train, the tanking hype train a little bit. Not too much, because I still drafted Shady McCoy, I think 7th overall in Fan League number 2. But I was like, oh man, the Bills are going nowhere. Right now, they're 2-1. They're doing okay. They're definitely not tanking, and the defense is playing well. So I still have faith in Trevor Siemian. Demaryius Thomas, please get me that touchdown. It's about time. But one reason that I want to go over this, I just don't want to list. I want to provide realistic help to you guys. So if you want to look forward to bye weeks that are hitting Week 5, Week 6, it's a good idea. You don't necessarily need to have 2 quarterbacks right now, but at the same time, it's a good idea to look forward. And maybe you are dropping a quarterback. Who knows? In any case, whether you're in a dual quarterback league, a deep league, here are some more quarterbacks to consider. Jay Cutler, Alex Smith, Andy Dalton. I mean, I don't like Jay Cutler, but this matchup is sweet. Cam Newton couldn't do it, but that's because Cam Newton is not good this year. Or at least he wasn't good last week. He wasn't good the first 3 weeks. That's the reason why he couldn't do well against the Saints. It's not because the Saints are an amazing defense all of a sudden. Look, they have some pieces on the defensive line, but their cornerbacks, man, oh my. I mean, come on. They didn't even have any cornerbacks last week, and they were able to win. Like, it's crazy. So their secondary is not good, to say the least. It's definitely one of the worst, if not the worst, in the league. Andy Dalton, told you guys he'd bounce back. I mean, I was at 90% maybe. I wasn't 100% sure, but he did bounce back. We saw Joe Mixon come back. We saw AJ Green come back. And we saw Andy Dalton look decent. I mean, they could have won this game in Green Bay. It went to overtime. Deshaun Watson, gotta mention this guy because, wow. And I thought this guy was the best quarterback coming out of the draft. And once I saw preseason and did some research, I was like, you know what? Maybe I was wrong. Maybe Mitchell Trubisky really was the best quarterback. But now I'm convinced that my first presumption back in early spring, I was right. When the lights are bright, when it's a big game, which is basically his whole, like right now, any NFL game he's playing is a big game. He shines, man. This guy makes plays. He can extend plays. He's excellent. He's a smart scrambler. You know, there's been fast quarterbacks and quarterbacks that are mobile and quarterbacks that are run. And then there's excellent scramblers, excellent quarterbacks that buy time, and really smart runners. You know, he's definitely not the fastest quarterback ever, but he is really fast and really smart. The numbers prove it. Like, for a rookie, he's been amazing. And for a rookie that hasn't even started, you know, with expectations were so low, he's been great. Should definitely be owned in more leagues. Those rushing stats, man, we gotta love that when it comes to fantasy quarterbacks. And wow, does Odell Beckham make a difference? Eli Manning's on this list. Decent matchup against the Bucks. Jared Goff playing against the Cowboys. They don't have a great defense. And the reason why I didn't rank Jared Goff higher is, like, I don't trust this guy just yet. I think Jared Goff is a decent quarterback. I don't see that confidence that I love to see in quarterbacks. Like, the stats are there. He's throwing the ball down the field every now and then, which is excellent signs. And look, he is good, but like I'm saying, I'm just not completely sold on Jared Goff just yet. I know they would love to run the ball with Gurley a lot. They don't even have any other running backs right now on the roster that are healthy. I think Malcolm Brown is hurt. Let's see if he comes back. And just some guys I want to touch up on really quick. Sam Bradford, I have no idea when this guy's coming back. It's a day-to-day thing, but I wanted to put Case Keenum on there just in case for you guys in deep leagues and specialty leagues. Blake Bortles has a decent matchup, but may not want to throw the ball a lot this game, right? It's about playing defense and running the ball. Kind of like we thought what they would be doing, but, you know, Blake Bortles tore it up week 3. Nobody saw that coming. Nobody saw that coming. Jacoby Brissett, not a good matchup against Seattle, but then he does have good matchups against the Niners and the Titans. We don't know when Luck's going to be back. Will he be back week 6? Will he be back week 7? I think it's going to be, this is a crucial week for the Andrew Luck coming back sweepstakes. If he doesn't practice this week, hit that panic button. If he does practice this week, that's going to be a huge sign. So like I said, guys, this week, if Luck practices or not, is going to be so crucial. I mean, it's already week 4. And we have Deshaun Kaiser, Mike Glennon going against the Packers. He's going to need to throw the ball in the 3rd quarter, 4th quarter, maybe even the 2nd quarter. And Josh McCown, why did I put this guy on this list? Hold on. Okay, bad matchup against the Jags, yes. And then he faces the Browns, then the Patriots, who's actually given up a ton of points to opposing quarterbacks, and then the Dolphins. So has some decent matchups. This is strictly dual quarterback league territory, guys. Like, not even 14-man league territory, but in dual quarterback leagues, like, people own, like, Mitchell Trubisky's picked up in dual quarterback leagues. Other quarterbacks are picked up that aren't even playing. Like, that's the type of leagues where Josh McCown is going to be an excellent spot start. Before we get into the running backs, I wanted to quickly mention, if you do need a quarterback, Jameis Winston could be a good buy low candidate anywhere from around now to week 7. Because I'm looking week 8 and beyond. Other than a couple games, he has some sweet matchups, guys. I think he'll be able to bounce back. Like, the accuracy, the decision making is still an issue with Jameis Winston, but that's not the end all when it comes to fantasy. He can still put up fantasy numbers. Will we see some more shootouts, some high scoring games? Jameis Winston should be able to connect. I mean, he does have good tight ends. He has good wide receivers. He has pass catching backs. So he has the weapons there. He's not quite what a lot of people thought he would be this year. He just isn't. But that could be a great buy low candidate, especially if Jameis Winston owners are emotional. They're getting fed up with him around now. And if they drafted 2 quarterbacks, they can spare him. So I just wanted to throw that out there. And we don't really like to trade for quarterbacks, especially a guy who I'm not too high on. But I just wanted to throw that out there. Sometimes other owners can get emotional, and that's when you're able to buy guys for super low, for super cheap. For running backs, I got a little bit of flack. Not too much, like 2 hater comments, that's it. When I said Buck Allen, I like him, but he's a good sell high candidate. I was also hoping that he would do better week 3 though against the Jags and be an ultimate sell high candidate. Now his stock is kind of plummeting a little. It's going down a significant amount. Not plummeting, that's not the right word. It's going down, and man, I was saying, man, this was a sell high candidate. And now his value is not that good. You got Alex Collins there. Terrence West might be getting healthy. I know Terrence West isn't that great. And then Danny Woodhead might be back in 6 weeks or so. So not the ideal, not quite the RB1 we thought he would be. A bounce back game is in the likes, but I just wanted to point that out there, that I did say he would be a good sell high candidate last week, especially for David Johnson owners, Danny Woodhead owners like me. He would have been a good sell high candidate. Owners need running backs nowadays quite a bit. And this is going to be a little interesting to some people. Wendell Smallwood is not my #1 running back to pick up. It's Chris Johnson. And I'm banking on Chris Johnson to play well the rest of the year, as long as he gets Mike Iupati and that offensive line, they're healthy. If that can happen, I think Chris Johnson is rightfully so the #1 waiver pickup. For some reason, if Mike Iupati doesn't play for an extended amount of time, that O-line is banged up, then Smallwood would easily be the best waiver wire pickup. So factor that in. But right now, to me, it's clear #1, Chris Johnson, #2, Smallwood. And Chris Johnson is owned in all the leagues. He's been owned in all the leagues that I'm in, but he may not be owned in your league, so he might be available on waivers. If not, he is a great buy low candidate. I'm telling you, I have a good feeling that people are going to be fed up with Chris Johnson. I haven't hopped on the Twitters yet and the comments yet. I haven't heard it yet because they just played Monday night. They just played a few hours ago, basically. So I haven't heard it yet, but I have a good feeling that people are going to be fed up with Chris Johnson already. Swoop in, buy low candidate, get him for cheap or get him off waivers. And I'm not trying to take away anything from Wendell Smallwood. I think this is an excellent waiver wire pickup. He can catch the ball. I don't know if he's a great pass catcher, but compared to Blunt, he's going to be the pass catching back. He's pretty good. I think the Eagles like him. And now that Sproles is hurt and done for the year, unfortunately, Sproles, we may have seen the last of him. He may retire now. Smallwood is going to be the guy. Sharing carries with Blunt. You know, Blunt's going to be the goal line back, the short yardage back. We see him a lot on first and second downs. But Smallwood, it could be around a 50-50 split. And in PPR league, Smallwood might even be the better running back to have. I mean, Blunt's stock goes through the roof. Because a lot of you know I hated Blunt. Now he's tolerable. With Sproles out, Blunt's value definitely goes up. And these guys need to be owned in way more leagues. Alvin Kamara, especially in PPR. Dante Foreman, probably the better running back, dare I say. Last week I said the better runner. Now it might be the better running back on the Texans. Just Lamar Miller, to me, is so freaking boring, guys. I mean, that was the safest draft pick of all time if you drafted Lamar Miller. And Andre Ellington, a guy who I've been referring to kind of like Duke Johnson, being a receiver. And with all these, you know, Michael Floyd is gone. John Brown is always hurt. And J.J. Nelson seems to have a lingering injury. they're using Andre Ellington a lot. I believe he got 5 carries, but I know for sure, I wrote it down, he got 5 receptions week 3. So in PPR leagues, Andre Ellington, in a 12-man, he's definitely a must-own and probably a guy you want to pick up in a 10-man PPR as well. Some more names to look out. Alex Collins, he played really well, and I think he was the best running back in that London game. Mike Tolberg, I talk about this guy every week. I think you get the message. I like him. Matt Breida. Is Carlos Hyde an injury waiting to happen? I would have to say yes. Brandon Oliver, excellent handcuff for Melvin Gordon. Chris Ivory, it's kind of a handcuff, but we also seen him get a lot of touches, a lot of snaps. Jamal Charles, no upside here. We'll always see him capped off at 10, 11 touches, but he's still pretty good and still worth a roster spot, especially in deeper leagues. Corey Clement, the 3rd string running back for the Eagles. Sharkhandrick West, pretty much a handcuff in deeper leagues for Kareem Hunt owners. Elijah McGuire, Orleans Darkwa, Darren McFadden, I have written on here. Pretty risky, but in deeper leagues, you may want to pick them up. Or if you're an Ezekiel owner with a lot of bench spots available, you may want to pick up Darren McFadden. Now, Ezekiel Elliott's hearing is on October 2nd. So Ezekiel Elliott will definitely play week 4. But if he were to face that 6-week suspension, which might happen this year, I have a great feeling that Darren McFadden is going to be activated and that he will get significant snaps. For wide receivers, the 3 guys I really want to look at are Sterling Shepard, must pick up in every league. Mohamed Sanu, the number 2 receiving option on the Falcons. Geronimo Allison, I really like this wide receiver if Randall Cobb is hurt, if Randall Cobb is out. I even would dare to possibly pick him up if we know that Cobb is severely limited. Keep in mind, this week, I'm talking a little bit more long term, as Cobb has been dealing with injuries throughout a good amount of his career. But this week, though, the Packers play Thursday night, so it's looking bad for Cobb, and that's why I have Geronimo Allison ranked so high. Taylor Gabriel, my homie, I love him, but he's not getting enough targets, not getting enough snaps, so I have him on here. I like him. He has that big playability. He's very talented. He's super fast. I mean, I'm over here watching him play, and some of these defenders, man, they look like punters or kickers trying to chase him down. That's how fast Taylor Gabriel is. But his value won't skyrocket. He's not a must-own in 10-man and 12-man leagues, except if Julio Jones were to miss time. Now, Julio Jones is a bit banged up, but it doesn't seem too serious. And some other guys to look at, Travis Benjamin, kind of a boomer bust. Paul Richardson, I like him, but doesn't get too many targets. Bruce Ellington, super sleeper I mentioned last week, and I was right. He is the number 2 wide receiver. I don't know what's going to happen when Will Fuller comes back. Will Bruce Ellington be number 2 or number 3? I just have a good feeling that the Texans love Bruce Ellington. He is the number 2 wide receiver on the Texans, at least until Will Fuller comes back. And maybe he will still be the number 2 guy. Jerron Brown I have on here because we already mentioned John Brown's hurt like all the time. JJ Nelson has a sore hamstring. Don't know too much about that. I'm pretty sure he is still limited though from that injury. Benny Fowler is the number 3 wide receiver for the Broncos. Then we have Devin Funchess. Wow, that passing game is not looking good for the Panthers. Marcus Whedon, Robert Woods, Kenny Stills in a revenge game against the Saints. Trent Taylor and Brandon LaFell. For tight ends, my top pickups are Charles Clay, Ryan Griffin, Jared Cook, Vernon Davis if Jordan Reed is out, and Austin Seferian-Jenkins. Now, obviously, Vernon Davis takes a huge hit if Reed is playing, gets a huge boost if Reed is out. I mean, Charles Clay, man, this is a real deal tight end 1. He proved it when he played against the Broncos and still did good. Ryan Griffin, I think he's the real deal. We always thought Ryan Griffin would end up being the starting tight end and not CJ Fedorowicz. Now that CJ Fedorowicz is on IR and is going to miss significant time, I don't know if he's going to be out the whole year or half the season, not sure yet. but we all know he's going to miss at least half the season. Ryan Griffin is the man there. Quite possibly the second option in the passing game next to DeAndre Hopkins. Teams need a second guy and a third guy. Like they always do that. I always preach that with the Broncos. And I think they found that in Fowler, and they use the tight ends a little bit, enough to make a third, a fourth, and fifth option. And they also pass to the running back. In deeper leagues, look for a Benjamin Watson, Julius Thomas in a good matchup, Mercedes Lewis. Look, I'm not saying Mercedes Lewis is great, but I'm also not saying that this is it. Like, he's had this one game and that's it. It's sort of like Jesse James. Yeah, I mean, he's never going to put up numbers like this whole year. But who knows? I'd say a guy to watch, right? I'm probably not going to pick him up in any league, but a guy to definitely watch. Now that Allen Robinson is out, I don't see any reason that they wouldn't start using Mercedes Lewis more. He won't get a ton of targets. They're not a heavy volume passing team. They're not the Saints. So just keep expectations tempered and keep an eye on Mercedes Lewis. Don't necessarily pick him up this week. We also have Ed Dickson with Greg Olsen out and Jermaine Gresham. But Jermaine Gresham I see is more used because of the injuries they have. Like David Johnson was a huge receiver. Now they have injuries to their other wide receivers, and that's why we saw Gresham more involved in the passing game in Monday night. For defenses, the Jaguars need to be owned in like 99.89% of leagues. They're not owned in that many leagues, but they should be. And they're facing the Jets. Probably #1 defense to pick up. Also, the Steelers defense I drafted in a lot of leagues. They're playing well. And the Ravens offense, oh my, not looking so good and looking way worse with Yanda out. That has a lot of effect, man. When Micah Patty's out, when Yanda is out for the Ravens, that has a big effect on the entire team. We have the Giants playing against the Bucks with Doug Martin out. I see the Giants, they have a lot of upside here. I also have the Jets in what could be a low-scoring game against the Jaguars, like we just mentioned. So if it's a low-scoring game, if that front seven plays good like they did week 3, the Jets might be worth a look at in deeper leagues. Also, the Bengals are playing the Browns, not a high-powered offense in Cleveland, and the Lions are playing against the Vikings with Sam Bradford hurt. This could be a very good defense. Lions defense is somewhat underrated. We saw Matt Ryan. I don't think he had a single turnover, and then he faced the Lions and threw 3 picks, which was kind of surprised me. I think one was a pick six. Yeah, one was a pick 6 as well. So Lions defense, man, right now they're rolling. They're pretty good. And if Case Keenum plays, I don't see Case Keenum playing like he did week 3. This will be a sweet matchup for the Lions if Bradford is out. For kickers, Cairo Santos of the Kansas City Chiefs has been placed on IR with a groin injury. So Harrison Butker, I think he is a good kicker. Don't know too much about him, but he's on the Chiefs. I like this guy. He's my #1 kicker to pick up. We also have the Raiders kicker, the Seahawks kicker, Blair Walsh, the Texans kicker, I don't know how to Fairbairn, and we have the Dolphins kicker, Cody Parkey. He did not do well last week, but I see a good bounce back game against the Saints. And we have Ryan Suckup, the Titans kicker. Not necessarily a good matchup this week, but I do like him long term. He should be a decent kicker this week and going forward. And in deep leagues, we have Brandon McManus, Jake Elliott, who kicked that 61-yarder, Jason Myers, Greg Zuerlein, and the Browns kicker, Zane Gonzalez, for you guys in 32-team leagues. Those do exist. Well, that's it, folks. If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel by clicking this couch icon next to me. Also, like the video, leave a comment below, and use #AskTheBrain so I know you are a true fan. I'll see you guys on the next video.